Greetings fellow gamers, I'm the Soulsborne Seeker and today we're going to be looking at 5 great indie Metroidvania games you can play for absolutely free, the links for which you will find in the video description. Before we start, as always a kind reminder to please consider subscribing to the channel if you end up enjoying this content, since it will help me reach even more people and spread the knowledge far and wide. And now, without further ado, let's dive into it. We begin our journey with the Millennial Warrior, a short fantasy Metroidvania game with a beautiful pixel art style that reminded me of the arcade games I played back in the 90s. Here you'll get to play as a young warrior who is tasked with scouting a forest for his leader, a place that ends up being more hostile than anticipated. The Millennial Warrior is mainly focused on combat, featuring a simple yet satisfying sword combo as well as the ability to dodge backwards, and is the first game in which I found said skill to actually be useful. It also features quite a few traversal abilities to get despite its short length, and did have a couple of basic yet engaging platforming instances to go through, which was a welcome discovery. One thing that really stood out about the Millennial Warrior was its time slowdown mechanic, which was necessary in certain instances in order for you to either progress through the game or find optional upgrades that were related to health and magic energy. Another little detail I enjoyed was the fact that when you upgraded your blade, it changed form, which was a nice touch. On the downside, the character's jump feels a bit floaty and the environments are fairly basic, though I still found the biomes endearing due to the art style. It took me about 35 minutes to 100% complete the Millennial Warrior, which ended up being a very enjoyable time for me due to its compact-sized exploration that allowed me to maintain my momentum throughout the adventure. Next comes Missing Cats Please Help, a brief Metroidvania that focuses on platforming and steers clear of combat. Here you'll take on the role of a young boy scout who must help an old lady by finding her 7 lost cats. I'll admit I wasn't sure what to think of Missing Cats during my initial couple of minutes due to the visuals feeling a bit barren, but any doubts I had were immediately forgotten once I started moving and jumping about. Missing Cats features zero combat and all the abilities you'll get to acquire are solely aimed toward exploration, which was fine by me since said exploration was fun and to the point. The underground caves you'll get to explore are full of traps and dangerous flora, as well as the trapped cats you need to find and some yarns you can collect, though I'm not sure if the latter had any meaningful effect on the actual completion of the game. I do wish to pay special mention to the title's music, which was surprisingly incredible. There's also an awesome platforming gauntlet near the end, which was a pleasant surprise. Now, there is one downside here, which I know will probably be a deal breaker for many of you, and that is the fact that the game features no map to speak of, but in all honesty, the setting is very small and it is highly unlikely that you'll get lost. It took me around 25 minutes to 100% complete Missing Cats Please Help, and I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it. Following, we have the Lightkeeper, a Metroidvania with cosmic horror themes. You are the latest Lightkeeper responsible for the maintenance of a remote lighthouse. You decide to investigate some noises coming from the basement, and things take a strange turn from there. The Lightkeeper was a truly pleasant discovery since I wasn't ready neither for its length nor for the amount of optional content it featured. It is a game that relies a lot on observation and piecing things together to understand where to go next, since aside from ability-gated exploration, it also incorporates item gates, some of which may be a bit obscure to figure out, though never to a significant degree. It also features 2 different endings for you to witness, one of which will require of you to have collected some specific items to unlock. As mentioned previously, the Lightkeeper features lots of optional content, including some environmental storytelling elements and interesting bosses that add to the lore of the game. I also enjoyed the fact that it was fairly challenging, but never to a degree that it felt unfair, making the investigation of its map a rewarding endeavor when combined with a decent amount of collectibles present. The one downside I will mention here is that the controls are a bit finicky at times, and if you wish to play with a controller, I recommend using the D-pad instead of the analog stick to make sure you get the best experience. It took me about an hour and 45 minutes to complete the Lightkeeper while missing 2 health upgrades, and I had a blast with it. Nearing the finale, there's One Hero's Trash, another Metroidvania from this list with a nostalgic pixel art style reminiscent of the arcade era. Here you'll step into the boots of Ort, an aspiring shopkeeper on the hunt for ancient artifacts that will help him establish the greatest shop in the land. One Hero's Trash incorporates a crafting system as its basis for exploration gating by having you gather material from enemies and the land, which you then use to create equipment based on blueprints you acquire, with said equipment allowing you to access previously inaccessible areas. I truly enjoyed that aspect of One Hero's Trash, since I also got to see a few abilities that aren't that common in Metroidvanias, such as heat resistance and underwater breathing. I was also pleasantly surprised to find out that the game had a few somewhat challenging platforming segments, which were brief but fun. Additionally, One Hero's Trash features a basic map that's easy to discern, as well as surprising biome diversity for its length. It took me about an hour and 10 minutes to 100% complete One Hero's Trash, and I had a lot of fun in the process. Finally, we have the Trespasser, a Metroidvania game with Souls-like elements and strong Castlevania influences. After being given some weird directions from a stranger, you end up lost in an odd world that seems to be under the influence of some cosmic menace. Thus, you decide to investigate in the hopes of finding your way home. I honestly have no words to describe how dumbfounded I ended up being by the quality of the Trespasser. From its numerous biomes to its deep lore and fun abilities all the way to a significant amount of optional content, I felt like this was a Metroidvania that could have easily had a commercial release. The Trespasser is packed with secrets and collectibles, including different suits and accessories that provide a diverse range of helpful effects, as well as several different weapons to fit your playstyle when it comes to combat. There's also a good amount of bosses to beat and a few optional side quests that provide nice rewards. Additionally, the Trespasser boasts a solid map overview to help with your exploration, though I didn't find any way to keep note of collectibles I may have missed. Of note here is that the Trespasser's lore is actually connected to the aforementioned the Lightkeeper, so there's lots to dive into here for story enthusiasts. It took me about 2 hours and 10 minutes to finish the Trespasser with 92% completion rate, and I can safely say that this is one of the best free Metroidvanias out there right now. What did you think of these games? Did you already know about them? Are you planning to try any of them out? Let me know in the comments below, and feel free to point out any free Metroidvanias that you enjoyed playing through. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. Until next time, Soulsborne Seeker out!